Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Nick, and in today's video, we need to talk about what just happened with Tesla stock. After beating their Q4 earnings on both the top and bottom lines, Tesla stock was down over 11% today unexpectedly. So I'll be going over some of the reasons why I think the stock is down today, some of the pros and the cons of the earnings report, and then also what I plan on doing with my Tesla shares and probably what the best course of action is to do. And having been in such a volatile market lately, I also wanted to make this video to help encourage my fellow long-term investors out there during this lonely time being an investor in an awful market. So I hope you do enjoy the video, and if you do, make sure to drop a like as it does really help out my channel, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe with those bell notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my future uploads throughout the year. And with that said, let's get straight into the video. Alright guys, getting straight into it, here we can see that Tesla stock is down 11.55% on the day. Over the past 5 days, it's down almost 17%, past month, 24%, so it just keeps getting worse and worse. And then from its all-time high, we can actually see that Tesla stock is now down 32.5%. Now, if we think about this logically, all macroeconomics aside, what have we learned about Tesla stock during this time period of about 3 months? Well, we've learned that Tesla achieved record deliveries and record production during this period, and then they just announced their earnings report that beat on both the top and bottom lines, yet the stock is down like crazy. And a lot of this is likely due to the fact that Tesla is trading at an elevated valuation because a lot of its earnings are further out into the future. And so at the end of the day, the stock drop has nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of the company because nothing's changed. It's only gotten better during this period. The stock price is not always going to reflect what's going on in the underlying business or the fundamentals. So that's just one thing I wanted to reassure my long-term Tesla investors with over this time period. And we've also got to think, like, how many times in the past has Tesla stock dropped 30% or more? Probably way more times than I can count on my two hands. Actually, we don't have to go back that far. Back in February of 2021, the stock price was $872, and then it dropped over 30%, 35%, down to the levels in May where it was $586. But then look what happened in the months following. Tesla stock gained over 100% in literally like 7 months, and even up today, it's still up about 41% from those lows earlier in 2021. So to be honest, I just really don't care too much about what the stock price is doing day to day, week to week, or even month to month for that matter. Over the long term, I'm sure we will continue to see this exponential growth in their earnings, and so the stock price should follow. Alright, but now let's look at some of the pros and the cons of Tesla's Q4 earnings report. So the first and most obvious point is that Tesla beat on both revenue and earnings, so both the top and the bottom lines, they beat analyst estimates. For earnings, analysts were expecting adjusted EPS of $2.36, while the actual numbers were $2.54, so they beat by 18 cents per share, which is pretty solid. As for revenue, analysts were expecting $16.57 billion, whereas Tesla came in over $1 billion above at $17.72 billion. And to be honest, it was an incredible earnings report in my own opinion. Tesla saw their total revenues grow 65% year over year, whereas their automotive revenues grew 71% year over year to $16 billion. And again, they were able to achieve that really high automotive gross margin of 30.6%, which is honestly the highest in the industry, and not many other auto manufacturers can say that they can achieve at least 25%. The company's also become very profitable, with their GAAP net income growing 760% year over year, and then their non-GAAP growing 219% year over year. And again here, this chart just shows the operating margin of basically every other mass-producing automaker, and Tesla is the highest. Now, another pro came from the conference call where they discussed the 4680 battery cells. And a lot of investors, including myself, were worried about the supply constraints around these batteries, but Tesla said that they have quite enough, and they're going to begin production of the Model Y using the structural battery pack and the 4680 cells within Giga Texas. And this production has already started in late 2021, but they will be starting deliveries very soon. Elon Musk also said they'll be comfortably above 50% production growth for 2022. And actually, one of the other members on the conference call said that they could achieve this production growth even if they didn't have these new factories coming online, which was kind of a flex. So we can basically be certain that they're going to achieve their production targets for 2022 despite all of these supply constraints. Finally, the last major pro from this Q4 earnings was the fact that Elon Musk was so bullish on FSD and he had a lot of confidence in it. In fact, Tesla just announced that they increased the number of FSD beta vehicles from a couple thousand in Q3 to nearly 60,000 vehicles in the US today, and Therefore, Tesla has so much more data to be able to train their neural net models to improve the FSD experience even further. So by 10xing the amount of data that they're now receiving from the vehicles on FSD beta, they might be able to 10x the speed at which it does improve itself. But there were, of course, some cons that came out of the Q4 earnings report too. And these, I believe, are the reasons why Tesla stock is down nearly 12% today, but honestly, I don't think it's too justified. I think going into the conference call, people had a lot of high hopes on new product launches because Elon Musk said he was going to give a product roadmap update. But the fact that he gave no new product launches for 2022 did disappoint investors, and that's probably a major reason why the stock fell off. The Cybertruck was officially delayed until 2023 because Tesla just wants to get the engineering behind it very, very competitive, and they want to drive down the cost before actually releasing it to the public and making mass production. They also said it really doesn't make sense to launch a new vehicle given all the supply constraints in the market right now. And next up, the number one reason why Tesla stock probably fell off a cliff today was because Elon announced they do not have a compact $25,000 car in development right now. Basically, the reasoning for that was that they have way too much on their plate right now, and understandably, given all of these supply constraints, and they're trying to manufacture these vehicles at a very high scale and high production. But it does also worry some investors that Tesla might not have the demand for their vehicles given a few years of increasing production. Like, will the Model Y and the Model 3 be able to sell even though there isn't going to be a $25,000 vehicle? So this one point here puts Tesla's demand into question once again, but as they've proven in the past, they basically always have demand for their vehicles. So in my eyes, I don't really see this being too much of an issue because they have way more demand than they can supply right now, and they're only going to be supply limited. The next reason the stock could have sold off today was because Elon was forecasting for bad supply chain issues as well as chip shortage issues, so none of this is really new. Every company is forecasting about this, but these issues do remain and it could impact profitability in the short term. But again, guys, as long-term investors, do we really care about how profitability could be impacted within 2022 if we're holding this stock until 2030? These short-term worries really don't impact our long-term view. So I just really wanted to emphasize this long-term view and for you to not panic whenever the stock drops like over 10% in a day. Finally, this could have been seen as a positive, but Elon Musk focused a lot on the Tesla bot, which is several years away from production though, so I see this kind of as a negative, the fact that he was focusing so much time on this. In my opinion, if Elon would have focused more on the operations of, say, Giga Texas and Giga Berlin, more of the short-term things, then investors would be a little bit happier. But again, he is such a long-term and forward thinker, so we can't expect him to always do that. So overall, guys, I just wanted to put out this quick video just to explain what might have happened with Tesla stock and why it could have dropped in the short term. Again, we can never predict the short-term moves of stock prices, and even though I thought that Tesla was a good buy a few weeks ago, it just means that I think this is an even better buy today because the price has gone down. Just as I explained before, the future expected returns coming out of Tesla stock are going to be way higher now that the stock price is much lower, so buying in today is probably going to give you a much safer cushion and more of a margin of safety. And I also did just want to mention that after this earnings report, analysts have been increasing their production targets for 2022, and they've also been increasing their earnings and revenue estimates, and therefore the price targets will follow eventually. So my price target of $1,500 by the end of 2022 remains. We'll have to see how the macro environment behaves because that could impact the price to earnings multiple, but yeah, I just see so much upside for Tesla long term, so don't take this as a really bad sign that the stock dropped off a cliff. Just take it as a buying opportunity and not financial advice. So yeah, anyways, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next one.